like the content we bring you about the heavy metal world, please like, subscribe, and comment to help us grow the channel.
This is Bryce Van Patten from Metal Express Radio Backstage. Today, I have the honor of interviewing the man with one of the most recognizable voices in thrash metal. I'm talking about Chuck Billy of Testament. Today, Chuck is here to talk about their upcoming tour, the remastered re-release of The Legacy and The New Order, and a lot more.
Hey, what's going on, Bryce?
Hey, how's it going, Chuck? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you great.
Awesome. Thanks for being my guest today. How's your day going?
So far, so good. It's my press day today.
Yeah, every 30 minutes all day long, right?
All day long, yeah.
All right. I'll try not to say too many things that you already heard and bore the heck out of you.
No, hey, it's all good, man.
Yeah, awesome. So you're down in San Francisco, is that correct?
Yeah, about an hour east of San Francisco, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm just up in Vancouver, Washington. So
cool.
Just across the river from Portland.
Still getting some good weather right now?
Yeah, it's all sunny today. It's great.
Today.
So we'll get going here.
Okay.
I saw that Testament back in the 80s, and I'm trying to remember who you guys opened for, but I think it was at the Memorial Coliseum. And
so back in the 80s, well, the late 80s, it might have been Judas Priest and Megadeth, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds familiar because I know I was there to see the headliner and you guys were there too. So I was like, man, awesome, you know.
Or Priest and Corrosion Conformity. It might have been that one too.
Yeah, that it's one of those, but you know, it was the 80s. It was a lot. But I was really glad to get a chance to see you guys. But you guys have a tour kicking off in September with Kreator and Possessed. Can you talk just a little bit about how that came together and what fans can expect on the tour?
Yeah, well, we did a tour last year with Kreator in South America.
Oh, awesome.
And so I think we did about a dozen shows. And when you're in South America, all bands fly together, they travel together, everything. So we spent a lot of time together. And we had a good time. Everybody got along, crews got along. And when it was all said and done, we're like, why haven't we ever toured together? You know, and that kind of sparked, you know, the thought process to like, well, why don't you talk to your agent? We'll talk to our agent and see what we can make happen. And it was a perfect fit because both bands have been around a long time. Both bands have music that has evolved over the years. And there's still a good, strong thrash fan base. So it just kind of made sense, you know, to do it. You know, when you go put together a tour, we've tried going out, having newer, younger bands that might not have the biggest following. And sometimes it didn't work as well. We found like the Bass Strikes Back with Exodus and Death Angel. That was a perfect package that did well. We stuck in our genre. Us and Anthrax did well. So it made sense that let's just stick with that formula. And who would be a good opening band? And we thought, you know, Possessed is a band that has a following, but since Jeff's in a wheelchair, they really don't get to go out and do full-blown tours. They kind of do some one-off shows and special appearances. So I felt that a lot of people haven't got to see Possessed in many years. So it's about time that they made a round and got to get out there and be on a full tour.
Awesome. So what kind of set are you guys have worked up for this tour?
This tour is basically going to be the same thing we just finished in Europe. We just did 6 weeks in Europe, and it's celebrating the Legacy and the New Order, our first 2 records. Every band, after 35 years, you get the rights back to your music.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we own the Legacy and New Order, and we just retained Practice What You Preach this month. So we took those records, instead of making a deal with Atlantic, we went with Nuclear Blast and decided for them to put out the record. So they put out a remastered Legacy New Order vinyl first with a 20-page booklet of all our history. We've got photos and old contracts and And when we were trying to get signed, all the letters that went to all the record companies. So it's a really cool historic package. And instead of just throwing it out there, we decided, you know what, let's go play it. Let's go promote it. It's been a long time we got to play these songs. And so we're doing the show is only the Legacy New Order songs. That's it on this tour. And it's not like it was on the records. We put them together in a set that's really comfortable. And it went over really well in Europe. And we thought it'd be great to do the same thing here. And you know, it brings back memories back when we were young, just good days, good times, living with our parents, no bills, you know, no debt. You know, it was just playing music, drinking beer, and having fun.
Yeah, the 80s.
The 80s. So when we play these songs, it kind of takes us back to like having some fun, you know? And so I think on this European tour, I would ask the crowd, you know, and we'd play some big festivals, like, put your hands up and let me see how many fans out there that this is the first time you experienced Testament. And there was a good majority of people there. And it really, I was blown away because I was like, wow, there's a lot of new fans. This is a good thing because they're really enthusiastic. They were very loud. I'm like, wow, they're enjoying it. So maybe we got some new fans out there that never experienced Testament that gets to experience that history of the Bay Area thrash scene that they obviously read about, but they haven't experienced it. So for us to play them songs, they get to experience it musically, which we thought was very cool. So the same thing in America. We're going to do the same thing, play the Legacy and New Order, celebrating it. And this will probably be the final farewell for that record for us. And it's time to move on to maybe practice what you preach next year. Then the following year, we get Souls of Black back. And
great.
And next year, we're going to have a new record out. So, you know, this is kind of just the final stand for those two records on this tour.
Yeah, you know, I just saw Queensryche a couple months ago, and their tour was just playing their first demo, or not demo, but
wow,
their 4-song EP, and not Rage for Order, but The Warning.
Uh-huh.
They kind of did exactly what you guys were doing, and they got up there, and it was like being in a time warp, you know what I mean? Because they literally started out with those first 4, like Queen of the Reich, you know, those songs, and then played the entire Warning, you know, front to back. And I had some fans behind me that were going, are they going to play, you know, are they going to play Empire? And I'm like, no, you should have looked at your ticket stubs. But I felt like I was in a time warp, you know. It was really, really cool. So
it totally is. Like, we just did some shows in February at 2 casinos back east. And that was kind of the first time we decided to do the Legacy New Order stuff together. And, you know, honestly, there was a lot of gray hair in the crowd, but talking to the fans at the casino, because we got to go gamble and hang out, a lot of them were very thankful that, you know, back in high school, you know, those are my records. Those were the songs that take me back to that time, the good times. And that's what we wanted to kind of invoke, because it's invoking the same feeling for us to perform them, you know. And it's just like me, I still listen to my UFOs and Thin Lizzy, which I listened to in high school, and I get a smile on my face when I listen to those records. It takes me back to good times. And that's kind of what I'm seeing from this, that there's a lot of fans that are coming out of the woodwork to say, wow, I got to go see that because I grew up with that. And man, I haven't seen that in a long time. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. And like, most bands don't do that kind of thing. So it's like, normally you're just going to get a bunch of whatever the newest record is, or, you know, 4 or 5 songs of that, and then a mixture of things from throughout their career. But to do that, you know, you literally feel like you're in a time warp, because it's all just that stuff, you know. And yeah, like you say, most people don't get a chance to experience that. So that's super cool.
Yeah, it is. And we're just talking to the fans, and they're very thankful after the show, you know, signing the old records. They're like, look at my old vinyl I still have for 30 plus years, and it looks worn out. I'm like, well, it's worn out. That's a good sign that you still listen to it. So, you know, those are the things that are the payoff for me, because I love seeing that and hearing that, and talking to people that invoke something out of them still in music, you know?
For sure. No, Testament's one of those bands that you guys are like fortunate to have, three of your members that were doing all this stuff on those first albums still in the band. Can you talk a little bit about how it's been keeping the core of the band together and what keeps Testament going strong?
Well, I think, I say Testament's new life was back on the Gathering record, and it's right around the time I had cancer and beat cancer. We had the full reunion with everybody, all the original members. And Louis would still be here, the drummer, but he has arthritis in the hands and he can't hold the sticks. But he still plays a good part when we create. He's still one of Eric's best friends, and he hears the new music and has comments, and so he's still right there with us spiritually. And Greg, he left the band. He made a decision to leave, or he would be here too. And I think Alex, he left the band early after 5 years of the band because he was 16 when he first made his first record with the band, and really had no childhood and wanted dreams of going to school and college and really loved jazz music. So he went and left to do that. But I think, in some sense, maybe he missed it a little, and we were still playing music. So to have him come back, it really, with the first practice, Alex came back and I heard him play, and him and Eric, right away, to me, no matter, and we've had some great guitar players fill his shoes. As soon as Alex came back with Eric, to me, it was like, he just plugged in, no effects or anything, just plugged in. I was like, wow, that's it right there. That's the formula. That's the sound. And it was right there. And it's good to have him back here. And, when we had the first reunion tour, it was only supposed to be one show. We had an opportunity to play the Dynamo, which we did in 1987. Andre Verheusen called us in 2004, maybe 5, somewhere, maybe 4, I think it was, and said, hey, I got the original Anthrax to come play the show. You think you can get the original Testament? And I said, well, I can ask. And so I asked everybody, and everybody was into it. And so that kind of brought us all back together, first time on stage. And we went on tour. One show turned into 5, turned into 10. Next thing you know, couple of years went by, and we never discussed the future or the outcome. We just said, let's just do this and have fun. And at some point we said, okay, well, what do you think about making a record? And then that's kind of what we did in 2008 with Alex and Greg, and made that first record, Formation of Damnation. It was fun to do. We wrote that record for ourselves, not necessarily what the media was going to think or anybody else, but for ourselves. We just enjoyed the songs, the process, and kind of looked at it as a blessing that, wow, maybe we get to do this and finish something that we all started together. So that's kind of what started this whole thing. And then from that point on, we've always tried to raise the bar on ourselves. And I think we've always rose to the occasion, record after record after record, coming through and not making the same record, but evolving. For me, vocally, I'm still doing new things with my voice that I haven't done before. And, to me, it keeps us going and fresh and being challenged, I think, is the key.
Awesome. So you mentioned that you've got a new album in the works. Can you talk a little bit about how that's coming along, the songwriting process, and maybe how it differs when you're putting together an album now than, say, back when you were on Atlantic?
Oh, it's night and day. Before, back then, we all lived the same place. We all had to go to the same studio, where now it's by email, sharing the songs. Everybody has home studios to work out demos. Definitely a different writing process, but still Eric is one of the main writers. And ever since we brought in our new drummer, Chris Dovis, he's been here 2 years. He was 24 when he came into the band. He's 26, but he's a smart kid, graduated the Berklee School of Music, knows theory, great in the studio with Pro Tools. I think, he's really into modern bands and new and upcoming stuff. And he's got an old soul, so he knows the history of the music. But I think him working hand in hand with Eric, as long as they did, he really pushed Eric and drove Eric to get challenged. And I wouldn't say copying, but I think Chris and what he listens to and the style Eric likes, it brought an influence to the new songs. To me, the new songs sound current. They sound fresh. They're they're touching what a lot of new upcoming bands that are making good names for themselves are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's raising the bar one more time. And I think when fans hear this record, especially new younger fans, are going to go, "Whoa, that's Testament." It's like, I know the Testament I know from 30 something years ago and grew up with, but what is this? I think I'm excited for that because I want to hear what people think, or I'd love to see the expression with them hearing it for the first time. That would be great, because it does sound new and modern and fresh, even though we're still being challenged.
Mm-hmm. So, would you say that you guys have more freedom to just do whatever you want now than you did when you were on Atlantic?
Totally. When we were on Atlantic, that was a big machine. They had A&R department. They had the radio department. They had tons of department, tons of money. And they were always influenced by how well their big selling artists were, which were radio bands, and they're pushing radio. So that A&R guy would be whispering in our ears, "What's the next radio song?" And we're thinking, well, we're not a radio band.
Right.
That's not us. And so,
yeah, that's not what thrash was about at all.
That's not what it was about at all. And even to this day, when I hear some stuff like, Ozzy's Boneyard or something, they play ballads by us. And it's like, that doesn't represent us, but that represents that era and thinking maybe of what Testament did or what they chose to expose us to the public, which it's misrepresenting us. So yeah, the freedom's huge now, especially being with Nuclear Blast as long as we have.
Mm-hmm.
There's no deadline. It's just when you're ready, you have a record, give it to us. And that's been really nice. And the beauty about this record is that usually we have Andy Sneap mix our record. So we usually write a record and give it to him, and then it's done, written in stone, can't go back.
Yeah,
For this record, amazing. But this record, we had to pick somebody to mix it, which wasn't available till early next year, January.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided, okay, we tried to get all the tracking done before we went to Europe this June or July, and we got most of it done. And right now, Steve's finishing the bass this week. Eric's finishing up his rhythm guitars. I still got 3 songs to sing.
Mm-hmm.
Alex hasn't started on his lead yet. So between this tour and then after the US tour, we get another break where Alex will finish up. We'll do the background vocals and get a chance to really live with the songs, talk about them, and maybe go back and change some things or maybe add something, which we never had that opportunity to do before. So I think that's one difference on this record, that we get to live with it and make sure it's right.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
Huge.
So I don't have a lot more to. Is there anything else that we missed, or any shout outs you want to give for the upcoming tour?
Well, I think it's just going to be people that haven't got to experience this band, who know about the history, come check it out, because the songs, we perform them much better now. We're better performers, better, players. And, we designed a nice, cool stage set that's pretty cool looking. So the show to the songs to everything is going to be great. We offer a VIP pack to the fans that want to come hang out. We're offering a legacy Testament guitar.
Oh, wow.
That we've never sold guitars before, but Dean Guitar decided to make a legacy New Order guitar that we offer the fans, and they get to have an experience with the band. They buy a guitar, they get to come backstage after the show, and we'll give them their guitar. They get to hang out, have a beer, get it signed, get their thing signed, and hang out.
Well, that's different. Yeah.
We're offering a cool experience on this. And this, like I said, this will be probably the final time we get to play the legacy New Order in celebration. It's time to move on to Practice What You Preach and Souls of Black and the new record. So, just if they haven't got a chance, they haven't got a ticket, get out there, and you don't want to miss this one.
So how much does the guitar cost? I'm just curious.
It's a $1,500 guitar, but it's a nice guitar by Dean. If you want to see it, I can grab it right here. It's right here.
Yeah, let's see it.
Hold on 1 second. So it's a guitar by Dean.
Awesome. It's fading in and out, but can you turn it upside down? Can you flip it around so I can see? Oh, nice artwork. Yeah. Yeah, Dean makes great stuff, so I'm sure it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's got the Legacy and New Order artwork, but it's kind of like, we've never sold guitars, but it's kind of just like, here's a piece of history. Here's a classic set we don't never probably going to do again. Come hang out, So it's cool. We've sold quite a few guitars, but it's unlimited. We could still, and they don't even have to come to show up. They want them to send them to the house. They can put on their wall, which I do with that one.
Mm-hmm. That's sweet. So I just want to thank you so much for talking to me. I see that you guys are coming to Portland on the 17th down at the Rose Theater. Have you guys played in that building before?
We've played there plenty of times. I think that's our stop every time we come through Portland.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen bands that were way back when it was the Starry Night,
Right.
In fact, I played back there in the 80s myself. So does all your new stage setup fit on the stage there okay?
It will, yeah.
Sweet. Because sometimes I kind of hate it when bands have this beautiful stage and then they get to somewhat smaller arenas and have to tone it down a little bit.
Well, we've designed it to play the big stage, or we can trim it down for the small stages.
Sweet. Well, thanks again so much, Chuck. And we look forward to seeing you guys on tour. Hopefully I can catch you guys down there on the 17th and just,
Right on.
And I'm looking forward to hearing the, I know it's already out, right? The remastered version.
Yeah, remastered. Right now it's vinyl, and I think the CDs are coming soon, but it's a very cool vinyl package we wanted to release first. And then those sold out. And so now we're moving on to the CD. So yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, best of luck on the tour. Hope to see you out there. And thanks again, Chuck.
Right on, Bryce.
Have a great day.
Stay metal.
If you like the content we bring you about the heavy metal world, please like, subscribe, and comment to help us grow the channel.